I told you at the beginning all of the things that this rule did not include. It did not include partnership at the committee level or any Republican input whatsoever. It did not include any partnership in the Rules Committee or any Republican amendments made in order. We've got as many bills as I've ever seen jammed into a single rule, and again, not done in any way that creates any consensus, that provides any opportunity for being able to move a bill to the Senate and on to the President's desk. And that's disappointing because, as I've heard from colleagues on both sides of the aisle, the American people want action on all of these issues, and we're not going to be able to provide that in this way. That's what's not in here. But, Madam Speaker, and it's particularly important to me that we find you in the chair today, as my friend from Florida recognized, what this might be is one of those moments we look back on as when something got started. You don't ever know how things get started. You know how they finish, but it's sometimes hard to understand how they got started. I'm absolutely certain that the bill we have before us today isn't going to the President's desk on police reform. I absolutely am, as are my Democratic colleagues. One of my friends on the Judiciary Committee, Sheila Jackson Lee, was quoted in the Hill today saying, ultimately there will probably be a conference, but I don't want to take any issue with Democrats saying, you know, we have the stronger bill. Of course, that's true. Folks have the opportunity to start the process where they want to start the process. The House Majority Whip, James Clyburn, went a state further. He said a cleaner road to compromise would have been to have the Senate negotiators smooth out the wrinkles between Senator Scott's bill and the one championed by Democrats Cory Booker and Kamala Harris. It could very well have been that they could have come to some kind of a compromise that will fly in the House. Why worry about going to conference when the two bodies, between the two bodies, if you can work it out together? Well, of course that's true. Gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Clyburn's been a successful legislator on this floor for decades, and you work it out together. You find that consensus. You find that compromise. It is not lost on me that my Democratic friends in the House have come today to say, please accept this police reform bill, even though you've got no Republican amendments whatsoever. My friend from Florida asked us not to make the perfect the enemy of the good in that way. I understand those words. But my friend from South Carolina, Tim Scott, offered the very same proposal to Senate Democrats. In fact, he offered them 20 amendments to his bill, and the Democratic leadership in the Senate said, no, that's not good enough. We're going to walk away. Well, 20 amendments isn't good enough. Certainly no amendments isn't good enough. It frustrates me because we all know we want to move forward. My friend from Florida recognized yesterday, Madam Speaker, that he's the oldest member of the Rules Committee. I won't name names here, 83, but eldest member of the Rules Committee. I think I'm the youngest member of the Rules Committee. I don't believe the gentleman from Florida has spent 1 second thinking about what this bill will mean to him in his life. I think he's spent all of his time thinking about what the bill that you have championed is going to mean to that child who's born in a Washington area hospital today, and what will it mean to him or her in their life. I was born 2 years after Martin Luther King was murdered. His work and his impact on the country, I was the beneficiary of, but I was not around while that. I know that that's where folks' hearts and minds are focused. While I am certain this bill is not starting the way I would have wanted it to start, I'm hopeful that I'm going to look back one day and say Karen Bass and Alcee Hastings and I were on the floor of the House on that very first day that legislation was moving across the House floor that made this difference in the country that 330 million Americans want to see made. I don't have to like the way that it starts. I like even less that it hasn't started already. And all of the comments you'll hear today from our side of the aisle are based not on an opposition to our goals, but a great hope that we'll get to our goals faster. With that, Madam Speaker, I urge defeat of the previous question and defeat of the rule for an opportunity for partnership. And I'd like to yield any time I have remaining to the gentleman from Florida for any needs he might have.